Hey everybody, this is Geneva of Geneva's Closet Talk Show. Please make sure you like and share this video and subscribe to Geneva's Closet if you haven't already done so right here on YouTube. And you can follow me on Facebook at Geneva's Closet. And you can email me at genevasclosett22@gmail.com. Now, let's get into the news. Today, I will be talking about 16-time Grammy nominated who came out in the 90s with songs like Anytime and One Last Cry, R&B singer who is known for his falsetto voice, and I am talking about Mr. Brian McKnight. Now, the reason why I am even talking about this is because 3 of Brian's children just came out on Instagram the other day saying that he's a deadbeat dad. They don't have no relationship with him. They just had a whole lot to say. They did a whole Instagram posting, and I'm talking about his oldest son, Brian McKnight Jr., who should be about 30 years old, and his brother that's 2 years younger than him, Nico McKnight, which should be about 27, 28 years old, and their sister Brianna, who's by a whole different mother. I'm not sure her age, but she should definitely be younger than Nico. But yeah, they went on social media, even her, saying that they're not happy with him, basically. And people are saying that this has something to do with his wife that he just recently married to, about maybe a year or two ago. We'll get into that later. So I don't know if that have anything to do with it, but I know it may have something to do with a posting that Brian McKnight posted on his Instagram page just recently, just a few days ago, of his new wife's children, which are not his children, his stepchildren, the son, saying how proud of the son he was. Well, I think that must have pissed his kids off, probably mainly his boys, especially since they don't have a relationship. And yeah, they went on social media talking and saying a whole lot of things. So I decided to go and do a little research because I didn't understand what was going on, so I can get a better understanding. So let's do a little background on this. Brian McKnight was born June 5th, 1969 in Buffalo, New York. And this is a little information I found on him. It said Brian McKnight was raised a Seventh-day Adventist. I had never even heard of that before. Religion was important in the McKnight family, with many of his generations being Seventh-day Adventists. So I didn't know what that was, so I went to go look it up, and it says much of the theology of the Seventh-day Adventist Church corresponds to common Protestant Christian teachings such as the Trinity. Distinctive teachings include the unconscious state of the dead and the doctrine of an investigative judgment. The church is known for its emphasis on diet and health, its holistic understanding of the person, its promotion of religious liberty, and its conservative principles and lifestyle. And it says something about they also observe the Sabbath, as Saturday being the Sabbath. Okay, so now going back, it said his grandfather was a pastor of a church, and his mother played the piano and sang in a gospel choir in Buffalo's Emmanuel Temple Church. Being the youngest of 4 boys, McKnight became a member of an a cappella gospel quartet with his brothers. He also attended Oakwood College, a Seventh-day Adventist university in Huntsville, Alabama, from 1987 to 1989. In his sophomore year, McKnight got in trouble for violating Oakwood's rules about dormitory visitors for having his girlfriend in his dorm room. They were both expelled. Now, the interesting thing about this is that the girlfriend that they're talking about that he was expelled with from college in 1989 is the woman who ended up being his wife and the mother of his sons, which is Julie McKnight. So they were both kicked out of college in 89, and then in 1990 they were married, and Brian McKnight Jr., his oldest son, was born. So with that being said, in 1989, when Brian and Julie was kicked out of their Adventist religious college, Brian was 20 years old. Then the next year, they decided to get married in 1990, and they had their first son, Brian Jr. By this time, Brian Sr. should have been 21 years old. Now, I'm assuming based on articles that I read, because it said that Brian and Julie were very religious. I'm assuming then that that's why they got married. Probably not so much of them being in love, but maybe because Julie was pregnant and Julie and Brian felt, and maybe their family felt like this is what they needed to do, was to get married. But they were married for 13 years, from 1990 to 2003. They had Brian Jr. in 1990, and then 2 years later in 1992, they had Nico McKnight. Now, I ended up finding some discrepancies when it came to how many children do Brian McKnight have. Some articles were saying that he had 4. Other articles were saying he has 3. Then I was trying to see how many children did him and Julie have together. Some articles just mentioned the 2 boys, Brian and Nico. Other articles mentioned Brian, Nico, and another son by the name of Clyde McKnight. Tried to do a little research on Clyde McKnight, couldn't find any information, a picture, a birthday, a age, nothing. So then I had to go on Julie's Instagram page to see, is she mentioning a 3rd child, because I was like, maybe she does have another son, but it just wasn't by Brian. She had another son later on. But no, I only see her speaking of her only 2 sons and those grandchildren that come from those sons. So who is Clyde McKnight? I have the slightest idea. So at this point, all I can say is that there are 3 children that Brian McKnight has. His 2 sons by Julie, and then his daughter Brianna that he obviously had by another woman. And the reason why I say obviously, even though I didn't find any pictures of the mom or anything else, because I didn't even fully research that part, I'm assuming it's like of Asian descent, because that's just what she looks like. I don't really know. But I ended up finding an article that was written in 2009, 2010 by TMZ that stated that a woman had said that she had a long lost child by Brian McKnight, and she wanted back child support, and she took it to court. And the judge, and because Brian didn't come to court, the judge let it go through. But then Brian went to go do a paternity test, and the paternity test came back saying that he was not the father. But it was saying a lady by the name of Miriam Lee on this particular article. But another article, it named her Miriam Moreno, 34 years old, said that she had a 1-year-old son by Brian McKnight. And it says, according to the online records, Lee and McKnight were an item for many years, even before McKnight divorced his wife of 13 years. McKnight has expressed regret for staying with his wife for years after realizing there were major problems in their marriage. He said he stayed for the benefits of the couple's 2 sons. And then this is what he said. I think deep down we both knew that this would be the end result, said Brian. If we hadn't had children, it would have been much easier to stay. You know what? We're just going to go our separate ways. We do love each other, but people grow apart. I found that TMZ article to be interesting because that was proof that he had been cheating on his wife. So I just felt like that all of that religious stuff went straight out the door once he was in the limelight, because I read an article that said that when Julie and Brian were kicked out of that Adventist college, that gave him the time and the opportunity to then go and work on his music career. So that's where that whole thing came from. But I had went on Julie's Instagram page, like I told you, and I seen a picture that was interesting, and it says, you can read it for yourself. My Flashback Friday, pick number 1, Grammys, red carpet, height of my ex-husband career. What do you see in those eyes? Not joy. Pick number 2, now, living, swirling, cotton candy coated unicorn, swirling in stardust and confetti. Keep on living, fam. Don't never be misled by lights, camera, and action. It's a veil. Now, I appreciated that posting because I believe that she's letting us know, because a lot of the times we sit back and we see these celebrity wives and girlfriends and we be like, man, I wish I can be me. She living her best life. And she probably is living her best life material-wise. She got the money, the vacations, the cars, the furs, the diamonds, the house, all of that wonderful stuff. But most likely dealing with those celebrities, she probably being cheated on, and she don't get to see her man or her husband all the time like she wants to. And she probably getting phone calls and text messages and seeing things on social media. So that was just letting us, Julie was definitely letting us know that she was not happy in her marriage. And it doesn't matter what anything looked like or what you thought that you seen. Things was not going great with Mr. McKnight. Let's get into why I am even making this video in the first place. And this is coming from straight from the A, dated for August 16th, 2019. And it says, 2 kids of singer Brian McKnight are having one last cry on social media. McKnight's adult son, Brian McKnight Jr., hit the net last night to let it all out, and his sister soon followed, claiming McKnight was an awful father who abandoned them. Now, this is what his son had to say on Instagram. And it says, I can't imagine abandoning my children, man. It's hard not to imagine the psyche of a man who can truly just turn his back on his actual sons, on his actual blood and creations. It's mind-boggling to me. I don't think there is any situation that merits the way my father has chosen to treat my brother, my sisters, and his grandchildren, one of which being his firstborn son, and who bears our name. It's insane to me to have absolutely no empathy for the type of life being introduced to us, only to become to resent us for that life catching up with us. It breaks my heart. But not for myself, specifically for my siblings and my children. They don't deserve this at all, not one bit. And I'm not letting this stuff slide, not for 1 second. I've tried my best to take the high road and be the bigger man and all that positive stuff. And there is a much bigger issue here. When it comes to Black fathers, especially in entertainment, that needs to be addressed. I believe there is a serious discussion that needs to be had. And a part of me truly feels like our story is the one to begin the conversation that will lead to healing a lot of young men and women with abandonment issues. It's time to tell our side of the story. Hashtag son of a legend. And if McKnight's namesake calling him out isn't enough, his daughter Brianna McKnight also shared her thoughts as well as a flashback photo with her brother. And she said, Daddy's little girl was never really a thing for me. Nobody understands what I've been through except for my siblings. Believe it or not, I'm not always the person I seem to be. I'm not always happy. And most of the time, I'm battling my own demons just like everyone else. I grew up thinking that the things that happened to me and my father's relationship was my fault. I grew up thinking that he doesn't want to come to visit me because he doesn't love me. Constantly put behind other kids that he would call his own, while I'm cast into a land far, far away in the back of his mind. It sucks knowing that someone else who's not even blood related to you comes before you in every single way. It sucks knowing that my phone calls have to go through a stranger I barely know, that my text messages are read without a response, and my stepmother tells me that they wish the best for me. It kills me to know that it's so hard for me and my siblings to get a word in, not one word. At a very young age, I was always second place in my father's heart, maybe even third, fourth, or fifth, depending on the situation. My father hasn't called to wish me a happy birthday in years, and yet I sit by the phone every year, hoping that one day his heart will change. I'm so fortunate that I have 2 brothers who are father figures to me, who celebrate me and love me every single day, and that make up the time that we lost. The anger and the sadness that I hold in my heart every day over this is sickening. It hurts knowing that my brothers went through this at my age and are still going through it, and that my little sister is going through this at her young age. I don't usually write things like this, but I feel like enough is enough. And like BJ, I want to share my side of the story. I hope that there's someone out there that has gone or is going through the same thing. Some teenage girl who deals with this stuff constantly, who can relate to me and tell me her side of the story and know that she is not alone. Now, Brian McKnight responds back to his children for the things that they went on social media and said. But before I show you that video, I just want to say a little something about his wife. Her name is Leilani Malia Mendoza. They started dating in 2014, got engaged May 2017, and was married December 29th of 2017. And personally, I don't think that his kids really care for her too much. Now, her and Brian McKnight don't have children together, but she has 2 children, a son and a daughter. Now, in Brian McKnight's video when he responds back to his kids, he makes some comments, but I want to show you the posting that Brian McKnight made about a week ago that I actually think pissed his children off, in addition to all the postings of his wife that he do on his page, because you heard what his daughter said about him paying more attention to other people. And I see him taking trips with his wife family and his wife, and I love you, she's the love of my life, and all of that type of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you don't have a relationship with your children, they may feel a certain type of way. So here go that posting he made about a week ago where I feel like he was maybe throwing some jabs. But anyway, it says, here's my son Jack, which is his stepson, with his new challenger. I'm so proud of you, my boy. No one deserves this more than you. No one asked you to, and you got a job at McDonald's to pay for it. And we didn't even ask you to do that either. Thumbs up. You took your hard-earned money and said, here, I want to help you pay for it, Brian McKnight. And I cry because I know that you don't take things for granted. You love and respect me as your father, not just because I'm married to your mother, and I love you as my son, period. Enjoy, but take it easy. It's a V8. Hashtag proud dad, hashtag I love our life. I think that bothered his kids. But now let's get into this video.
I've been traveling about 17 hours to Guam. I have a concert tonight, and I got off the plane to some of the most heinous craziness I've ever seen in my life. That my oldest son, Brian, would post that I'm abandoning my children. And the reason why, I suppose, is because I have a new family. And I guess this stems from a post that I made the other day about my son, Jack, who I'm very proud of, which isn't to say I'm not and haven't been proud of my other children, but I was proud of this one for the things that he did that day. But we'll get back to that in a second. Anyone who knows me knows over the last 20 years, 30 years now, as a matter of fact, that I've been there for my children every step of the way until recently. And let's be clear, my two sons are 30 and 27, not 12, not 13, but 30 and 27. Now my daughter's about to turn 18. That's another story I'll get to in a second. I've never missed a day of child support. I've never done anything adverse to my children whatsoever. I've always been there. I've always been there with advice, whether they took it or not. I've always been the sounding board, and I've always been the one that tried to help them achieve whatever dreams they were wanting to reach out for. I guess one of my only faults is that I gave my children everything that I didn't have in the hopes that they would appreciate it, because I know how much I would have appreciated it when I was their age. I would tell you as parents out there, entitling your children is probably one of the worst things you can do, and I know I am guilty of that. For whatever reasons, I am guilty of that. Tough love is a tough thing as a parent to try to institute to your children, because you want to help them as much as you can, and I did as much as I possibly could. When I stopped doing that for them, BJ was 25 and Nico was 22. And it wasn't like I completely cut them off at that point. That happened much later. But I've been there. When I put them out of my house, I gave them an apartment for 2 years. And I said, guys, this is it. This is the time to grow up. I'm giving you 2 years. I'm going to pay for everything for 2 years, but you're going to have to work or do something, because at the end of those 2 years, that's going to be it. It's time to be men here, guys. It's time to grow up. At the end of those 2 years, they hadn't done any of it. It was just right around the time that Leilani and I had gotten together. Leilani was working at Children's Hospital. And let's be clear, Leilani has been one of the only people who's been an advocate to keeping us together, to keeping us having a relationship, because she wants to have the nuclear family as much as I did. And they have spit in her face at every turn. She got them jobs at the hospital, $18 an hour with benefits, and with the option of the hospital actually paying for them to go back to school. They said, and I quote, that they knew they didn't want to stop smoking, and they would have to pass a drug test. And the day I had the doctors looking into it, Miko's on there, taking a big puff, which is fine. If you want to smoke, that's fine. I'm not saying that that's bad. If that's your choice, that's your choice. But what I'm telling you is that we have been advocates for them every step of the way. Now let's go to the part where we have been estranged. Again, we talk about abandonment. I'm not abandoning them. We are estranged, which happens more often than not in this particular situation. BJ broke into our home a few months ago, and he put X's on the eyes of our wedding photos. And then he put a photo of my first wedding on Leilani's vanity. It was at that moment, and after I heard him say and was pointed to from other friends of mine that saw his posts on social media, that he basically said that I was better off dead to him than alive. I was more valuable to him dead than alive. And that was the end of me dealing with him. If you look at my Instagram, you'll see that, not my last video, but the video before that, 42, the song was written by Brian and I, and it was directed, the video, by Nico. And I went on and I said how proud I was of Nico at the time, and I really, really was. He did an awesome job in that video. Even before that, less than 2 years ago, these are the two gentlemen who stood up for me as my best man in my wedding. So abandonment, deadbeat dad, I'll reiterate, I've never missed a day of child support. I've been there every step of the way. BJ, he talks about Jack's new car. BJ had 3 brand new cars before he was 22. But I'm not talking about material things, because none of this has anything to do with money. It's about respect. Respect goes both ways. And even in family, there's a line that shouldn't and should not ever be crossed. It's crazy to me that people will just believe anything, and I thought it was important to set the record straight and let you guys know that abandonment has nothing to do with any of this. Deadbeat dad, I've been there every step of the way. And let's also remember that these kids are 30 and 27, not 12. It's time for grown men to be grown men. And I'm sorry that tough love happens to be this way. And I do wish them the best. I want them to have and to reach their dreams and their full potential. But like any other man in the world, you got to go out there and you got to take it. As far as my daughter is concerned, you know, her mother, if you look back at my Instagram, she was a part of this family too, with Jack and Julie and Leilani and myself. And unfortunately, along the way, a couple years ago, I got wind that there was an older cousin who was above 18, who was quite possibly having sex with her. So I called, as a father should, to the state office for children's affairs there in Arizona, and I never heard anything back. But the next thing that her mother did was to block all of us from her social media, from her phone, and completely estranged her from us. So what that told me was they didn't want me to be involved in her life that way. So to see the post that she said, considering that her mother only had a child with me for money in the first place, and I'll reiterate this, I have not missed a child support payment. She goes to one of the most incredible private schools in Arizona. So I don't know where this is all coming from, but I thought that I needed to let everybody know that there's another side to this story. You can choose to believe what you want. I thought that I would lay it out there for you. Anything that I say is actual and factual. All you have to do is Google Brian McKnight and Sons, and you'll see us singing all over YouTube. Go back and look at my Instagram. Go back a couple of years. You'll see that I posted about all of my children. But remember that these kids, these boys, they're grown men, and tough love is exactly what it is. It's tough love. So thanks, everybody.
Cause you know that you're in love, love, love. You're in love, love, yeah.
Well, my two boys, BJ is my oldest, Brian Jr., and Nico, his younger brother, they have sort of a rock, pop, R&B sort of hybrid that they do together that everyone here in London, and actually all over the world now, I've taken them everywhere I've gone for the last 2 years, have seen what's about to happen, and that's their CD to be released later on this year.
What can we expect from your album? Music?
Everything, a lot of stuff, everything. If there's a certain genre of music you'd like to hear, we've got it.
They do all the music themselves. I'm just here to sort of be the executive producer. I'm the most proudest dad on the planet Earth.
And you seem to have a really healthy, fun relationship with them, like with your stage interactions. So what kind of advice have you given them in terms of tackling the industry?
Tips. Never say can't. Never say can't. And tips. Always give 110%.
Always. Always.
Make sure your fly is closed.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You know, the normal dad stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't really given them advice. I let them see what this job entails. By being with me all the time, they get to see how much work it is.
The fact that he's able to do so many things, aside from singing, TV, radio, Broadway, all that, yeah, you know, all that kind of stuff, the kazoo.
And I think that they see that they're ready to sort of, they wouldn't have been ready to do this 2 or 3 years ago, so I felt that it was important for them to actually get hands-on experience. And I think they're ready now.
Hi, we're McKnight.
And you're watching Soul Culture.
You can't be watching a website.
You can.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
What else would
Then
they
you can.
Who are you?
Brianna. McKnight.
Aren't you something? Hey, sing that Willy Wonka thing again.
Okay. I want to feast. I want a bean feast. Cream buns and donuts and fruitcakes with no nuts. So good you could go nuts. Give them to me. Now, I want a party with roomfuls of laughter. I want a ton of ice cream. And if I don't get the things I'm after, I'm gonna scream. I want the works. I want the whole works. Presents and prizes and sweets and surprises of all shapes and sizes. And now, don't care how, I want it now. Don't care how, I want it now.
I believe that when Brian made that posting about his stepson getting a job at McDonald's, I believe when he wrote that, he had his sons in his mind. He had his children in his mind. And I believe in that posting, he was throwing jabs, especially when you hear him talking on the video that he made responding back to his sons, basically saying that his sons didn't want to get up and do anything. They expected him to do everything, that they asked him, that he and his wife was even going to give them a job at the hospital, but they didn't want to stop smoking. And I did find some pictures of Junior and Nico smoking, but by the time I went back to go get the pictures off Junior's page, he done put it on private, so I was just able to get the ones up. But anyway, so I definitely feel like he was throwing some jabs at his children, and I feel like his children got upset because of that. But I wanted to show you the other videos because I found an article that said that, and I forgot where this came from, but it said, wow, me and my little brother, Nico, 17 at the time, I think this was like 2009-10, have been on the road with my dad going on 5 years now. It's been such a learning experience from a performing standpoint. I've always loved getting on a stage and singing for people, but to be able to watch my dad every night and take notes on how to talk to a crowd and lead a show has been a blessing. Being that I love traveling, being on tour has taken me places I'd always said I wanted to go. London, Paris, my favorites, many of the islands, Asia and Africa last year. If there is a venue, best believe we have played it. I'm trying to figure out how his sons went from traveling to Asia, Africa, and London on stage at 12, 15, 17 years old, making videos with their father at 19 and 22 years old. How did they go from that to now being offered a job by your wife to work at the hospital making $18 an hour, which there is nothing wrong with working at a hospital making $18 an hour based off of a hookup by their stepmama. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying, what happened? Isn't that a good question? Because I know his kids got to feel the same way too. They was just performing with you, and I'm pretty sure in their minds they believed that they were going to be stars, they were going to be celebrities, and now you still got your celebrityisms, whatever parts of it he still got. And you trying to offer them a job at at the hospital and stuff. So, yeah, so was he a sometimes daddy? Like, maybe he was a sometimes daddy. Maybe he was around sometimes, because I don't know if I can say that he wasn't around at all when at 17, Nico being 17, Junior was saying that they was already on the road for 5 years. Don't know how much longer. That was just at that time, it was 5 years, that they was on the road with their dad and then doing videos and stuff like that. So don't know if I can say that he wasn't around at all. And then we seen the video with him and Brianna. I wonder, did Brianna really want to be a singer, or was she just trying to do that to impress her dad? Because sometimes, kids do that because they feel like that's the thing that their parents want and that's what would make them happy. So they try to act like that's what they really want to do, when in all actuality, they don't. But his sons really do have nice voices. I mean, they sound wonderful. So I wonder what happened with that. Maybe he was a sometimes dad. Sometimes he was there, sometimes he's not. Then he's on the road. He done found him a girlfriend. Now he's all about his girlfriend. And then what was that comment that he made about his daughter, Brianna, saying about the whole molesting thing? Now, he said that he heard that she was being molested or something by her cousin. So he said he went and called officials or whoever, and he said they didn't respond back. Then the next thing he know, her mother went and blocked him on everything. So he figured that they didn't want to have a relationship with him. Really, bitch? And that's how you let it go? So you find out that your daughter done got molested, and then you go try to contact people, they don't respond, then you find out that the mama done blocked you on everything, and maybe the daughter too, and instead of being like, somebody gonna talk to me and tell me something, you just throw your hands up and be like, they don't want to have a relationship with me. See, that's the type of stuff that I'm talking about. Real love wouldn't allow you to do that. Real love for your child would make you go and find out what's going on. Make sure that your child is not nowhere near anyone that's molesting them and touching them, and then you making sure that whoever did that is going to jail. That's not what you do. Then all in the same breath, if I'm not mistaken, he threw out something about her mother only wanting to be with him for money. Really, bitch? That's how you gonna do it? Just throw the mama under the bus like that? The daughter ain't never gonna want to have nothing to do with you if that's how you perceive her mama, as only getting with you so you can pay her money, pay her child support. But you want the record to know, you want all of us to know that you've been up to date on your child support payments. Well, that's because it's probably court ordered. You don't have no choice unless you want some issues with the court. See, fathers be thinking that paying child support, especially when it's court ordered, that you doing something. Well, you know what? Doing something is us not even needing to take it to court. That's doing something. You doing it on your own because you know that this is your child, this is your seed. And for fellas, this baby literally came out of you. But anyways, what I was going to say is I know children. And I know the parents that's listening to this, whether you be a father or a mother that is 100% taking care of your child and the other parent is not there. We know what that looks like when the other parent is not there for the child at all. There is no going on a concert for 5 years and nothing, and you being the best man or the best girl or whatever at anybody's wedding, because his sons were the best men at his wedding. Hey, it could have been that one time he called them, had them come, took some pictures, and ain't really heard from them since then. Could be. But I know what that looked like, and I've seen pictures of them. That's why I tried to post the pictures and the dates, saying that it looked like over the years that they have seen each other. But hey, I wasn't there. You know, maybe they are looking for something more, or maybe it really just that he sporadically came by. I don't know. But basically what I am trying to say is, yeah, these celebrities do be having issues. They do. The reason why I'm even talking about this is because it just reminded me of 50 Cent and his son, the beef that they have. And then even the beef with, what is old boy name? The singer, Kirk Franklin and his son. The drama with that, because I'm following his son on Instagram, and his son has some things to say about his daddy, and he smoked weed. Did y'all know that? His oldest son? Anyway, did I tell y'all that... Because I don't think that Brian McKnight's first wife, Julie McKnight, I don't think that she was just a wife. I think that she was an artist and a singer. Because if you go on her Instagram page right now, she sings. And I think a bio or something of her said that she's a musician. So let the record show that the boys, Junior and Nico, did not just get their voice from their father. They also got it from their mother. Check this out.
Hey, family. Now, you know we couldn't let this week pass without showing a little love to this person that gave us so much. Come on and pick up where I leave off. Compliment what she does. Send her roses just because. If it's violin she loves, let them play. Dedicate her favorite song and hold her closer all night long. Love her today, find 100 ways.
It's been said that the fairy tales have all been read, yet the pages rest your little head. And they wrap you up inside your bed, and then take you to a place that you'll only find in your paradigm mind from the stories that you read. But if happy endings are just pretendings, then why the golden smile? So I wish you may, I wish you might find your once upon a time. Maddie C.
Woo! I feel like I gave y'all a lot of information, and it was a lot of time doing research and putting this video together. But I would love to know how you feel about everything that you've seen and heard today. And while you are letting me know how you feel about everything, could you please like and share this video and subscribe to Geneva's Closet if you haven't already done so right here on YouTube. And you can follow me on Facebook at Geneva's Closet. And you can email me at genevascloset22@gmail.com. You all have a fabulous day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.